topics as you join us for open mic. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. Tonight on the show, we open up the door. Start with some news and chat, and viewers get the floor. So join us now for an amazing show as we begin to see what you can do for an open mic night of fun.
Hello and welcome to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. The Fab Four are back again, and it is open mic night, which means that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. That means it's open mic night. You get to choose the topic tonight, so be sure to pop into the chat about what you think we ought to be talking about tonight. It is open mic night, and so first and foremost, guys, how's it going? You know, here in Virginia, we've discovered for a brief little bit this thing called heat, warmth. It's actually gotten warmer. I know, Matt, you're probably still dealing with freezing up north, but
and more snow.
Hawk is Florida thawed out?
I don't know. It was like 80 today. I was just trying to enjoy a little sunshine.
Absolutely. And Mark says, woohoo, full house tonight. Yeah, we do have a full house tonight. So it is open mic night. I kind of thought just to kind of kick things off as folks are starting to join us and talking about questions, we'd kind of go for the elephant in the room, and that's Josh D'Amaro is the new CEO. We mentioned it last week's show, but really we didn't do a big dive on that. So I thought that would be kind of our first place to just talk a little bit about our thoughts on what the future of Disney might be with D'Amaro at the helm. So. Hawk, we'll start with you. You know, what kind of thoughts and hopes do you have?
I have a lot of trepidation, to be honest, with it. You know, I'm excited for Josh. I've always thought the world of him. You know, I think he's great with guests. I think he's great, you know, talking to the team and firing up the cast members. I think he's potentially a great leader. What I'm afraid of is similar to every corporate executive coming to the next level when, you know, that senior board member or, you know, the person he's replacing says, congratulations on your promotion. And now let me tell you how it's going to go. You know, like I'm hoping he has creative license to do the things that I think he would be very skilled at doing. And I hope he has board support in order to do that. I hope he's not just a mouthpiece for the people behind him to make all the decisions. And I think that happens with a lot of CEOs. And I hope that's not the case this time around. I think he would, you know, Mark, I agree a little bit, but I don't think that was all Josh D'Amaro either. You know,
for folks listening, Mark Jones said, but he has been the head of the parks. The parks haven't been stellar under him, which is that's an observation.
And keep in mind too, the other thing, you know, why haven't the parks been stellar? You know, there's been a lot of construction, a lot of growth and change. There's been a lot of economic change. There has been a tiered base shift to the fan base economically. On where things see, this is what I love about you, Mark, because this is where the same.
Yeah, Mark is just stirring the pot. He says,
"It's like I'm stirring the pot. Like we're gonna crock pot together, my friend." But I'm curious to, like, you know, Megan, I can see you nodding your head a little bit. You know, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm in the same boat. I don't want him to get in, and like a lot of, you know, people in that leadership position, they get in and they themselves feel like they have to start making changes to prove that, you know, they're meant to be there or whatever, or they get there and they get so much pressure because somebody on that board thinks, okay, we're going to get rid of the current guy, the new guy's coming in, and we're going to start cleaning house and we're going to change all this stuff, and we're, you know, and how he'll handle that. That's what I'm interested to see happen. I don't want to see sweeping changes across Disney just because we got a new name at the top. Are there things that need to change? Absolutely. But does everything need to be overhauled? No. And so I don't want him to like bite off more than he can chew, especially as he rolls into this new position. I think there's, that period.
I agree with that. I don't think you want him to get shut down before he starts, in a sense. Like I hope he's given enough creative license to be able to start. And when I was saying that, Matt, I noticed you were nodding with that along. Like, what are your thoughts on his creative license and ability? Like, he's a very creative dude. I love his thought process, and I see you getting, like, yeah, this is what I'm looking forward to. So what are your thoughts on that?
Toby, by the way, says, good evening. He can't stay with us, but he wanted to say hi. He's in the Caribbean on Explore the Seas. So happy sailing to you, and thanks for popping in to Mousecast.
Awesome. Yeah, the creativity is like the biggest thing. I feel like Disney's just kind of lacked it for a while now, especially stuff that I've seen about possibly the old school hand-drawn animation coming back versus using the computer generation stuff. And I feel like that's right up his alley, is just going back to maybe not classical Disney, but like the Disney that we grew up with, as far as the stories and the originality and stuff like that, and those blockbuster hits, because I feel like Disney just hasn't had that for a while now. It's been a lot of remakes, a lot of live action, and I feel like they've just been a complete bust. So I'm hoping that, at least on that aspect of it, with his creativeness, that will spark something, and we'll get more originality out of Disney that people are looking for. And as far as the parks, I mean, between the pandemic and coming back from that, Universal opening up Epic Universe, competing with that. I mean, my biggest thing is I hope, whatever Disney plans on doing, especially with him at the helm, that it's not a complete bust. This is where I kind of have like we'll see what happens, because, hey, we've got to, please the stockholders and stuff like that, and the board. And so hopefully they're not like pulling the strings and being like, hey, you've only got, realistically so much to play with. And he's got like, this blue sky, like, hey, this is what I think would be great. But it gets shot down. So it's kind of this like, does his ideas come to fruition versus what the realistic expectation is, for basically the money side of everything.
So Chuck, he brings up a good point with reverting back to some of the older styles. And I think, we always joke, you and I kick back and forth on age, but
yeah,
the cyclical nature of the theme parks, it does seem to return quite often. Like, things come back and go back to the classic nature, and then they go to let's create something new, and then it's kind of like, oh, maybe we need to bring some classic back because this is so new, it's losing some of the nostalgia in the parks. Now, Josh D'Amaro won't be responsible for the current changes that are already been announced and taking place. So what do you think, based on the conversations that we've had, that is going to be his biggest challenge? Because you went from Bob Paycheck that was 100% accountant, like looking at the dollars and not the creativity, and really lost a lot of Disney fans looking at everything through the numerical and dollar figure lens. You got Iger back, who stepped away from that, but didn't launch as far as people had hoped he would, and kind of stayed in that middle realm. Is Josh the answer that people have been looking for to go the opposite direction from Bob Chapek and bring it more to creative, park initiative, fan base, fan friendly, cast friendly? Like, is this the direction you feel Disney is going?
I certainly hope so. And you talk about the classics. The classics are the classics because these are the things that are tried and true and have stood the test of time, meaning that they have been successful through in and throughout. In the business world, you call them best practices. Why? Because they work. and because they're proven to be successful again and again and again. And I think, and I'm hopeful that this is where Josh is going to go, is that he is going to look at, okay, let the span of Disney over a longer period of time. Let's go all the way back to the 80s when we had that resurgence of Disney. It was the Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and all this. and then the 90s when the parks just exploded. What really worked? What was really successful? Let's get back to what really works about Disney. And in my very humble opinion, the number one thing that works about Disney are the people at Disney. It's the cast members. It's the artists. It is all of the performers. And Matt, to your point about getting back to things like hand-drawn animation, because that gives you, folks, The Princess and the Frog, attraction notwithstanding, The Princess and the Frog is an incredibly beautiful film. It's currently the last hand-drawn animated film that Disney has done, and I am so hoping that we see this resurgence back to a form of hand-drawn animation. It might not be exactly the same as it used to be. Mark Sonnenberg has joined us. Hey, Mark. Welcome. Glad you're joining us here on Mousecast. Mark Jones, by the way, says, is Dana Waldron going to bring the Walt and Royal style yin yang back? You know, the Walt who was the idea person and the creative, Roy who was the financial. I don't know if Dana's necessarily the financial side, but I think you are going to have a kind of harmony in the fact that DeMauro is going to be that creative parks over here. I think that was his wheelhouse, and that was where he has kind of come up through Disney. You've got Dana Waldron, who is the movies side of it. So you think you have co-creative individuals. So could it not be a duo, but maybe a trio? Is there still a third person who is kind of yet to emerge that is that financial person? Because that was Roy's world, is that he helped kind of ground Walt and helped Walt stay into a little bit of reality.
And I do think the interesting twist for DeMauro that's going to be an interesting adjustment is to go from the responsibility of parks to the full responsibility, because Disney as a whole, parks are a very small percentage of Disney's money. So like he's got a whole new realm that he's going to be focusing on that I'm not sure how comfort zone that's going to be. And that's going to be an interesting interesting aspect of bringing someone on who is so park focused and been park focused. It's great for the origin of Walt's mindset and what Disney looks for in a collective, but it'll be interesting to see how that's implemented to the other side of operations where deals are being made and product decisions, what we move forward with, what we may eliminate. It's going to be very interesting to see his move in that.
I think
and Mark brings up that point. I think that's what Dana brings to the table is balance.
I think, it'll be interesting to see the relationships that Josh builds with people from those other pieces of the Disney company, right? And if he's already started that, because for the things that he doesn't know well, it's about him kind of connecting with the right people who are going, because he's going to be leaning on people for advice, for, whatever that might look like, for that insider look at maybe in some of these things that he's not as familiar with. And you hope that he's making the right connections there.
And I think to that point, Megan, I think he is the perfect person for the relationship building aspect. Because he is, socially, he is so good with anybody he meets. He shows compassion. He gives people time. He listens. He's a very good active listener. He is somebody that I think has the opportunity to make some huge and impactful decisions over this next coming tenure that could define Disney and set it apart once again for the future with the right steps. We've talked about, to your point, Matt, Universal building Epic, and Epic has definitely had its challenges and still has them. Universal still has challenges. Universal has made a couple decisions that I'm kind of like underwhelmed with what they chose to do. They just had the great opportunity to put up a brand new, amazing ride at Universal in Orlando, and they're going to duplicate a coaster they now have in Hollywood. So I'm kind of underwhelmed by the fact that, like, Fast and Furious has been kind of now the coaster idea is going to be a much better opportunity than that horrendous ride they currently have at Universal Studios. But Josh D'Amaro has opportunities to really elevate Disney's game back into elite status again. And, not that Universal isn't, but I think he really has there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders. I don't think it's a make or break for him in that sense. I think if he can keep his head above water, he's fine through this. It's not like he's going to come out. I don't think he'll ever be viewed like a Bob Chapek was, but I do think he potentially could be the best CEO we've seen in a long time if he's willing to take some of the risks that people hope he does. If he gets reeled in and pulled back on the creative front, or given incredibly tight budget restrictions, or they kind of just, if he becomes a puppet and he's being controlled by others, that creativity side of him is not going to be able to shine. And I think Disney's going to struggle.
Yeah, Mark Sarneberg agrees. He says, yeah, I hope he can make his own decisions and not be looped into the current mode. And I really think that's part of it. And, where I hope that D'Amaro will be able to make smart decisions, not necessarily fast, because sometimes fast is not the best thing, not lethargically either. There's a sweet spot in there. Mark Jones says, Disney, Pixar, Marvel all seem to have lost their mojo. I hope he is willing to allow some creative risks in the movies. And I think that there's some point to that.
Supposedly Pixar's got a pretty good new one coming.
Yes.
about The Rock. So,
yeah, and so apparently Wonder Man, to Marvel's credit, has really. I'm waiting a little while on Wonder Man, but some folks are saying it's kind of interesting. Hawk, you've seen a few. Okay, just not great.
I mean, here's the thing. I think this is one of the things that bothers me a little bit with what's going on right now with Disney is we've had a couple years of such bad flops that now mediocrity is being talked about like it's astounding. And I think Wonder Man is entertaining. I don't want to go so far as to say like I'm enjoying it. Like I don't run home to be like, oh, time to binge it. It's got entertainment value. But I think one of the problems we've had is we've literally had such bad Disney entertainment over the last couple of years that we're like, oh, because we're Disney fans, this is amazing. And you're like, okay, but if it wasn't Disney, would you say that? Would you really say that? Is it well written? Is it captivating you so, are you so entrenched in the story that you're really feeling the emotion and understanding it? It's not that good. It's not what Disney used to be phenomenal at, and tugging at your heartstrings and pulling you in so that you're not just identified with the main character, but you would identify with whatever character was out there. There were so many great characters in a quality Disney film, right? How many times have we talked about who's your favorite character in this or favorite character in that? And we're talking about sidekicks or B-rolls. Like, we're not even talking about the main character. You look at movies that had that most memorable character, half the time it's a character like Ed in The Lion King. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you step outside, and those roles are what I think makes amazing movies, whether it be animated or live action. I want to remember the people in the background. That's how I know something was really good. Not just the principal story, but the background characters. Who makes the difference? who's the most incredible? We watched Maverick last night again because I bought a new TV and I wanted to see on the bigger screen. I was like, I want to watch something that has like flight action or car racing. So we watched Maverick last night, and Jen and I were commenting that the side characters in that movie are what made it so good. Like, we were like, oh, that's our favorite character in the movie. And he's not one of the pilots. He's somebody that has like 4 lines in the entire movie, but just the way he positions himself and gets written in, it's flawless. That's what Disney's been lacking, in my opinion. Like, how do you guys think about that with like recent entertainment? Do you agree?
I agree with that, and I would double down on music. I mean, when we're talking about the movies of the 80s and the 90s, and even like Princess and the Frog and the original Frozen, you had Grammy-nominated music. You had music that kids couldn't stop singing. If someone could please give me a song that takes the place of all the K-pop Demon Hunter music that my children walk around singing right now, that'd be great.
And not a copy of it either. Please. Exactly. Disney music, not K-pop music. Disney music.
Yes. I mean, we had good music with Moana. We had it with Frozen. We need more of it. I need more films that have the background of that music there.
Yeah, Mark says we need a WandaVision or a Moon Knight or heck, even the Imagineering story show, something innovative and different. And I agree with that. And something Mark had said a little bit ago, Mark Sonnenberg had said, was the first episode meeting of Wonder Man was a bit weird, but so was WandaVision at the start. And I've told you folks, WandaVision was a great show, but you got to give it a few episodes. You got to get up to episode 4 before you understood the show at all.
Well, I mean, I think, to that point, you look at some of your favorite Netflix shows or Prime Video or any of these that you wind up binging out on and watching. It's very rare that a show, like, you might get grabbed enough to watch the next episode, but it's the last 3 episodes of any season that really you're like, you get all excited and you're like, what's that? Oh, I didn't see that coming. That's the nature of drawing you in, right? They're keeping you there for that climactic moment that maybe you expect, maybe you don't. I think Disney has just, like, their shots and attempts at film over the last couple of years have just fallen flat. They're like not even hitting the rim. And I think there was a certain comfort that happens with success, that complacency starts to kick in, that because Disney's associated with it, it's going to be huge. And there was some
Toy Story 5 is coming.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to go. Is just like, it seems like Disney's creating these films with the intent of creating, okay, there's going to be a 2, a 3, a 4, and it's just going to it's already like seeing success before like the first movie even comes out, or see how well it does. That's the way they're basing these storylines, and it's just not working because eventually it just gets old and stale and nobody cares. Or it's, you might get like our kids now, speaking to me and Megan and stuff like that, that we grew up with Toy Story being new, and now we're on Toy Story 5. Like, at this point, no offense to Buzz and Woody, but I had enough after 3. Like 4 was a flop to me. It was okay, but now we got a spork playing a character. I mean, kind of give me a break on that. Like, that's just my.
No, and you're spot on, because look at James Cameron's most recent statement after Fire and Ash released for Avatar. He said, I don't know if it's financially viable or smart for me to make the remaining movies. He's like, I don't, and those are some of the most cinematic wonder pieces that have ever been done. And, they're amazing to watch. The set creation, the special effects, everything. It's incredible what he did with those Avatar movies. And the first 2 made a lot of money. Even the third one is well over $1 billion worldwide, but it's not holding its own on what the expectation was. And it costs so much money to make those movies at that caliber that he's even saying the market's changed. The juice may not be worth the squeeze on this one. This may be it. Even though that's not the end of the story, it may be all you get. So, there is a point where when you continue on in those stories, when you start to lose substance or your fan base, and let's be honest, thanks to TikTok, thanks to Instagram, thanks to YouTube and shorts and reels, most people don't have the attention span to go sit through a 2-hour movie anymore.
Nope.
Like, they don't. I hate to say it, but look at why theater numbers are down. It costs you $100 to go into a movie with 3 people, and half the crowd winds up falling asleep.
Yep. And on that note, I wanted to bring up something interesting here. So this is just a quick screenshot of the Mandalorian and Grogu. We're going to talk about a little bit of a different topic here. The Mandalorian and Grogu, that the Super Bowl ad came out. And I don't know if you guys saw or not all the comments that have been made about the Mandalorian and Grogu Super Bowl ad, that it's like, oh my God, we didn't get anything from this. This is going to be a terrible movie and everything like that. Folks, do you get that this was a spoof somewhat? This was the Budweiser ad, Star Wars style. But Hawk, to your point, and this is the reason I brought this up, is that we're seeing folks that become so hypercritical over the small things that they don't. This is the forest for the trees thing all over again. This Super Bowl ad, in my opinion, was brilliant and great, because all it did was just put Mandalorian and Grogu back to the top of mind, and it had a call to quintessentially classic Super Bowl ads, which are the Budweiser Clydesdales. But yet we're getting folks who are becoming so critical about absolutely everything for no particular reason whatsoever. So your thoughts?
By the way, Pepsi Polar Bear ad, best ad of the night.
It was a good ad.
That was
it was
a
a very
great
good
ad.
The Budweiser one was a wonderful, well done ad. Loved it.
As always.
As a vet, highly respect it. I thought that was amazing. But funny wise, I'm from New England. I know a bunch of people were going crazy over that Dunks ad. I thought that was a little over the top. It was kind of bad. I'm with you, Matt. Like, it had star power. Yes. Okay.
That's about it.
But
I feel like it didn't flow unless you really know what movie you like. They were going to say what that's kind of what we're going with, but it was like two, like, you know, they're over here, then they're over here, then over here. It's just like just kind of like throw in.
Pepsi Polar Bear when they did the Coldplay concert thing.
Yeah, I love that. They just owned that. That was hilarious.
I was like, oh man, they just won. That's it.
Yeah, that was the rare good ad in frankly a Super Bowl of kind of meh. As far as the ads go. So
It was finding a good Disney movie right now.
I feel like
that's a
the
thing.
ads in this for the Super Bowl are similar to the things that we complain about with Disney. It's like they're trying too hard, and in it they're failing.
What? Whose marketing idea was it to hire the Backstreet Boys for like 3 ads?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. That was like
wait, come on. Like, I'm like, seriously? You don't get any brand recognition out of that except for the Backstreet Boys. Because when they came on the second time, I was like, they're doing another ad with the, like, I thought it was going to be for the phone service again. And then it was something else. And I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. These guys are just laughing their way all the way to the bank.
They're selling out the Sphere in Vegas every night. They've been there. They did a residency back in the summer, and then they had to come back over Christmas, and now they're back there again. Hey, all I got from the entire Super Bowl was that I am finally of the age where I have power, because every single one of those ads was geared to my generation. They played our music. They had my band in there. I told my dad laughed because my dad took me to my first concert, which was a Backstreet Boys concert 30 years ago. 30 years. And yes, there they are. Not
Hawk,
once, but twice.
Hawk, she's joining the old crowd. You know that, right?
No, so Matt, so when kids, like,
sorry, Megan, but you are starting to sound like the gray-haired ones up here. I mean, you know that.
I'm just glad that, like, you go through phases, and Disney does this too, right? You're like trying to draw in the right target crowd.
Yeah,
and they love you when you're teenagers and you have expendable income because you're mowing lawns and you're babysitting and you're not having to pay bills or do rent. And then you get to like your 20s, and the only people who want you are the people selling liquor and really trashy clothing. And then you get to your 30s and everybody's like, you're not paying any attention. You're buying baby stuff. We don't care what you want. But you hit your 40s and up, and they're like, okay, y'all have expendable income again. I mean, I don't, but they think I do. And like, it's there again.
I still find in my 50s that the trashy clothing works very well for me. So I am sticking with that.
I'm trying to feel young still.
I've only been asked to leave Disney 6 times, but I'm curious. So, couple things, because I see Mark's comment.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark wants to talk about the Muppet Show, which is another nice return to classic.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm definitely down for that. But I am curious to the people watching, if you watch the Super Bowl, what was your favorite ad? I am curious to that. Like, what was your favorite ad of the night? And as far as the Muppets, you know, I'm anxious to see what they do with the coaster, how they're going to make that work. I'm scared poopless over
family show, buddy.
Yeah, that's why I said poopless. Like I could have made it worse.
Yeah,
but
I know.
I am very nervous and apprehensive to see how they're musically going to incorporate that, because I have a funny feeling that could be disappointing, but I am anxious to see what happens.
I don't know, I'm hopeful. I'm the optimist here, and I'm hopeful that they're going to
Chuck the Optimist?
Oh, shush. That I'm gonna that they're gonna do something. You know, to Megan's point about music, they're gonna do musically and let the mayhem really shine here, and hopefully even original music, something brand new. Mark says as long as they keep the Muppets a little edgy, it shows promise, and I think they will. That's always kind of been the Muppets have always been a little bit kind of safe, edgy, but there's always been a touch of snark or
I want to see the older grunts. The older grumps, you can put Chuck and I in the queue, but at least put 2 older grumps in the queue.
Oh no, Statler and Waldorf have got to be in there somehow, some way.
Agreed.
And I think they're going to be in there prominently. And I'm wondering if they're like I think they're the pre-show, and pre-show, Statler and Waldorf, live actors heckling guests in the pre-show. Boom.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be hilarious with live actors. And somehow they do with, the way similar to Monsters Inc. Laugh Show.
You know what else would be funny? Heckling them while they're boarding the coaster.
That could
all
be
the way
fun.
up until the moment. Yep.
Yeah, that could be
what
fun.
I mean? Like, lady in row 6 can't get in. Can't look at her. She's still standing. Sit down, lady. I think that'd be hilarious.
It could be. I'm sure Statler and Waldorf would have some legal issues that they would have to watch out for, but it would be funny.
We have a new host name for you.
Okay.
Optimist Prime.
Optimus Prime. Yeah. It's a universal thing, but there you go. But yeah, so I'm marking with you though. I'm thrilled to see the Muppet Show back. I haven't started watching it yet, and that's intentional because I've wanted to give it a little bit so that I can. Because I know as soon as I start watching, I'm going to want to watch, multiple. So it looks like that. Number one, it is sharing all and kind of reliving all the classic Muppets production value, look, feel, design, everything like that. It looks and feels like the Muppet Show, and the quality of the entertainment, the quality of the puppetry, and all that is still right there where Jim Henson always has been.
So, Mark, put the
It
question.
sounds weird. I know it can't
what's
be
that?
the original voice. Kermit just sounds really weird in this new show. Like, it's not even close. I was just like, who in the world is talking right now? And I look up and it's Kermit. I'm just like, what?
Well,
My daughter had
it's
it on last
obviously
night.
not
She
Jim
wanted to
Henson,
watch
so-
it.
Matt,
I'm just like,
did no one tell you didn't get the news? Kermit had long haul COVID.
you know what? It was mind blowing. I'm just like, could we get a little bit closer to like Kermit? Like, this isn't even in the ballpark.
Yeah, Mark agrees with you. It says Kermit still doesn't sound right. I mean,
Yeah, see? Yeah, no.
I could do my own
Yes,
Kermit
Mark,
impression, but
Mark, oh gosh.
That was a
Yeah,
better
don't do
sounding
it.
Kermit than what we had on the show.
Mousecast is not full of voice actors. Let's not
No,
do this
they're
one.
not.
I did one of those podcasts before, and let's not go there.
yeah, no, we're not.
So, Mark Sonnenberg, you'd like to talk some Muppet Show. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah,
'Cause
Mark, be sure
yes.
to put out in the chat because I know Mark, you're a big Muppets fan, and so.
Give us a score of 1 to 10, and what are your principal thoughts on it thus
Yeah.
far?
Pop that out while we're talking about it. But to the point though of Kermit, I will tell you that Mickey Mouse doesn't sound right either. and unfortunately, that's just the nature of
But
voice
here's
actors who change and evolve, and people retire.
But here's the beauty of it, though, Matt, this is what you are now entering the old zone too,
Yeah.
because this is what we have to remember: our kids won't know the difference. Do you know what I'm saying? So these new voices, it's different to us, but much like the animation changes that Disney made over the years, like we see certain characters that we feel don't look right. But that may be all our kids know. So to them, that's Mickey Mouse. To them, that's Donald Duck. You know, the voice changes are very similar.
I'm just glad they keep it kind of
Yeah,
like
so-
the original in the parks and stuff like that. So if you hear Mickey in the park, like that is like the Mickey.
Yeah,
that,
because they're
you know,
still
at least I
keeping the
grew
old
up with
Wayne
anyway.
Allwine voice. So.
Yeah.
So Mark Sonderberg says, I do hope they keep the characters and don't have only the mayhem. I think he's referring to the roller coaster part. And I like the YouTube videos of them doing covers. And he says, and animatronics, not just video. He does say a reference to the show. It is just like the original, but he does agree that the voice is bad. They were very close to the original with the use of some of the newer songs, but the jokes, as he said, were classic. And Mark Jones, talking about Mickey Mouse, says Mickey doesn't look right either, depending on the animation style. I know the new styles is different. I'm okay with Mickey and Minnie generally. Goofy is the one that bothers me. Because Goofy just looks trashy. And I'm like,
Goofy
that's
looks
just
like
not
he has a drug
Goofy.
problem.
Megan just said trashy clothes are in, Chuck. Where have you been?
Not those type of trashy clothes.
You know, like
Literally out of the trash.
me, Goofy's what, 80? Like, he looks good in trashy clothes.
He looks emaciated. That's my problem with Goofy. Like he looks like
Yeah.
like he took. Well, no, I won't go that way. But
Well, but he also he looks emaciated, and you often see some flies buzzing around, and he doesn't look put together. And Goofy's put together. I mean, come on,
He's silly,
Goofy's
but
put
he's
together.
Put together, all
he's
right.
got good hygiene.
But, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
again, it's got good hygiene, things like that. So
I have a question for you guys. We did a first this week. I have never purchased Disney art.
oh gosh,
Let me be clear on this, at the Festival of the Arts.
okay.
I have bought pictures from Disney at other times, but never bought anything at Festival of the Arts.
Is that what we see behind you there?
That is one of the pieces we bought. We bought 4, same artist. We're torn on what to get and said, heck with it. All 4 win. I'm not standing here to try to make a decision. It was too peoply. We wanted to leave. So we spent 5 minutes there, picked out 4 that we thought were good.
Caleb's with us. Hey, Caleb, thanks for joining us tonight.
So this was our, Jen and I go on our weekly date nights.
Right.
So
Oh, look at that.
that one is we're out on date night at Walt Disney World making memories. So we're just going to leave this on the kitchen table every time we leave.
Well, that's
for date
excellent.
So
Now, that wasn't custom created? You just happened to stumble into that design.
right, that's Noah. Forget
Yeah,
his last
Noah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's over in the Germany pavilion.
Okay.
But he has great stuff. I loved all of it, and we picked a couple others that we really enjoyed. But have you guys ever purchased things at the Festival of the Arts that weren't food and beverage?
Not
Never
Festival of
been
the
down to the
Arts.
Festival of the Arts.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to be there, but I have purchased plenty of Disney art. In fact, let's see, we're going to tilt up and go over this way just a little
I
bit.
love
So
any
you can-
festival that's nicknamed Farts. I'm just
yeah,
gonna-
there we go.
It was
These are
My favorite
awesome.
festival. I
How
love.
can you not like farts at Epcot? You know, I mean, come on.
so these are all. So I'm just going to keep on going. I'm going to ignore Hawk there. These are all. Most of all, these are Larry Dotson's, with the exception of the Mickey Mouse one back here. That is actually a D23
Okay.
gold member image, but all these are Larry Dotson's that I got back when he was still signing. In fact, I was very just blown away. He was actually signing back last summer, and he had some health issues, and I'm a little bit concerned that these might be the last ones I'll ever get signed by him. But Larry Dotson does some beautiful work on parks. Now he's kind of expanded. He does Disney Cruise Line. other things like that. So, and I have a ton. I probably have a dozen or more Larry Dodsons. In fact, my own doctor, so Dr. Malinchuk, if you're listening, in her examining room, Larry Dodsons all over the walls, and so it's kind of cool to see all that. So
I have never bought Disney art at Disney World. The only thing I've ever bought was at the Disneyland Gallery, and I bought a piece from Jackie, who was on our show a little while back.
paper artist, yes.
Back when she was working at Disney, she was one of the featured artists at the Disneyland Gallery. She was also one of the featured artists at Bart's in the first year or two that it was open. I didn't get to go see her that festival, but that's the only piece that I have of Disney art that I have ever actually purchased.
It was funny as we were getting in line, to buy. The girl was like, "Now Noah's going to be here at 4 p.m. today," and we were there at like 12:20, and she's like, "And he will sign all these for you, and he's very appreciative and he's super nice and everything, and like you make sure you're here." And I'm like, "We're local, and it's 12:20, and I want to be home by 1, so we will not see Noah." Thank you for your amazing effort at that. She put everything into trying to make sure we could get him signed. A couple of my friends had bought similar pieces from him earlier this year, and just were very complimentary of how kind he is and how gracious.
Yeah, and I got to give Disney credit because now is that an original or a print?
No, these are prints.
Prints, I figured, and the prints are generally fairly reasonably. they're not that bad. These Dotsons were all probably about $30-$40 a piece.
Alex basically says it all.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this was a little bit more.
Little more than that, Chuck, but not brutally more. But for what you're getting, you're paying Disney prices. Like
Mm-hmm.
You get into the originals, you're spending a lot.
Oh yeah, the originals are.
There was a couple that Disney set a record at Festival of the Arts this year. Didn't they sell one that was over $100,000?
They may have. So
pretty sure that one of the pieces that one of the artists sold this year broke a record for the most expensive piece ever sold at Disney, and I believe it was over $100,000.
Good for that artist.
Yeah. So, I know Chuck's looking right now because that's what Chuck does.
Yeah, well, I was just looking to see here.
You see,
I saw anybody post.
Lighting up, and Chuck's like, "I'm gonna Google it." So
looking to see. I didn't see anything here. I was looking to see if there was.
We'll know in a minute, but
didn't see it. So
they do some amazing stuff, and it's those artists are incredibly talented. The one thing I think is super cool about Farts that is just, other than it being fun to say, but the fact that the artists are actually there quite regularly throughout. Most of the artists take time to stay in there and talk to people, will sign stuff for you. It's a great connection when you get to meet the person that created a piece that you get to frame up or put in your home, and you get the opportunity to have a conversation about where their passion came from, what made them want to do it, what do they enjoy most about it. We sit on this podcast and we talk about a lot of things, and we talk amongst ourselves, and we ask each other and even the fans watching questions about what is it we love about Disney, what brought us to our fan base, and when you see some of these pieces done and you start to ask people what inspired them to paint it, or why they got involved with doing Disney animation or artwork, it's really amazing to hear some of this very sincere and touching stories that open up your opportunity to say, I want a piece of art from this guy. Like I want a piece of that kind of passion. Mm-hmm. When you hear some of the stories, it's amazing. It's one of the beauties of what Disney does so well is telling that story, giving you that opportunity. And this festival, even more so than many of the others, allows for some very deep and personal connection, not just food and beverage or beautiful horticulture. Like there's a depth to Festival of the Arts that is a bit different than any other one. And I've only recently started to dive into just how enjoyable that makes that festival.
Well, you get to see the the talent. We see the talent every day in the parks and everything. It's just like when you get the chance to meet an Imagineer, you get a chance to meet a Disney artist or anything like that. You see the person, literally the hands behind the creation, and that brings it all home. It really, really does. So, guys, final thoughts as we wrap up Open Mic Night.
I'm ready to go back to Disney World. I'm ready to go back to Festival of the Arts.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Absolutely. So we'll be making some trips back soon. Hey, we want to thank you, by the way, for joining us. We had some new folks with us tonight. Mark Sonnenberg, welcome to Mousecast. Glad to have you with us. Hope you'll join us every week, because we do this every Tuesday night here on Mousecast. You can watch us live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Just search Mousecast on YouTube, or check us out on Facebook. We're on Facebook at Mousecast 2025. Maybe changing that soon to Mousecast 2026, because it is now 2026. Want to say a huge thank you to Megan, to Matt, to Hawk, all for being with us. Huge thank you also to Mark Jones, Mark Sonnenberg, who also joined us, Caleb, who joined us as well, Toby, who dipped in for just a little bit, because he's out to sea right now on Explorer of the Seas. So want to say a huge thank you to all of you who joined us, and we hope we will see you coming up next week, because next week, hey Matt, it's musings time. We'll have to see what Matt's got percolating for us with Matt's musings. Yeah, a little bit of right there. But until then, thank you guys so much. Mark says, thanks for another fun show. Mark, thank you for being with us, and thank all of you. And we look forward to seeing you next week for another Mousecast. So until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.